get dangerous. David?
Doug, what's up, man?
So I technically won my matchup against Nick in the draft Wednesday competition that we've been having. But I only won, I say technically because he forgot to swap out Kristaps Porzingis. So that's the thing about the draft app. The cool thing is, so you draft players, right? And you draft them before tip, obviously.
Right.
But if they're injured, you get to kind of swap them out. It gives you the option to grab another player. That happened to me yesterday when Kevin Durant was declared out with a thigh contusion. I got to swap him out. Unfortunately, I had to take Miles Turner. Like, you obviously are going to have a downgrade. But he did not. He didn't do the same thing with Kristaps. So I won 183 to 166. I don't care. I'm taking the victory. I'm absolutely taking the victory. But it is a technicality.
Yeah. So clarify for the people. You draft or you select from the pool of undrafted players. Is that correct? Previously undrafted players for an injury replacement?
Yes.
Okay.
So Miles Turner was my best option at forward. Double M15, quote, Jack, Daniel. I mean, this is our, I would say that's like the main live chat crew. Rich is in here a lot. If I'm missing someone, I apologize.
Hardcore Dougaholics.
But those are, oh God. That's the crew. That's the live chat crew. You should join the live chat crew, by the way, if you are, join the Buzzamaniacs. Come into the nest. I'm going to stop calling it the live chat. It is the nest. Come into the nest, youtube.com/Locked On Hornets.
Join our
Hang
team.
out with us.
And if you're, you know what else? If you're a business, if you know a business, if you like business, and any of those things you want to sponsor the show, we're open to that too.
We'll do it. Clay in the show here on the live chat in the nest.
Oh,
big time Clay.
Wow. Speaking of Panthers, I was just talking about Panthers.
Yeah, he hosts
Monday
a
night
Panthers
game.
Pod. What's that? Blue Goose cast. Check that out.
Blue Goose cast.
That's fun.
It's really fun. Panthers Monday night, Doug. Are you going? That's a night game. Starts your week off.
They play football, right? That's
correct.
Okay. Yeah, I'll go. You inviting me? You got a ticket?
Oh no.
Oh, well,
Sorry for the miscommunication.
I'm going to the Vikings game. I know that for sure.
Okay.
Okay. This is a show where we don't have a game to preview or review, so it's like a step back show. So we're gonna take a breath. We're gonna get excited for Friday, but we're gonna take a breath and look over some things we like and don't like. So let's do this. Let's get into the show.
You are Locked On Hornets, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
In a minute, cuz we live.
This is Locked On Hornets, your daily podcast on the Charlotte Hornets and the NBA. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Search your podcast app for Locked On to get podcasts on the NBA, the NFL, and fantasy sports. Check out the Locked On Panthers podcast as well for Panthers news and analysis from Bill Rossetti, big old Bill Rossetti. I'm Doug Branson, joined by my good friend, my colleague, my co-host with the mo-host from the mean streets of Cotswold, David Walker.
Guys, we are here for you today. It's an off day, no preview, no review. I think it's all good for us to take a breath. I think some people were a little put out by that Knicks result, Doug. It was a tough one, and people are creeping towards the ledge.
Well, it was a demoralizing loss, right? Because they held a double-digit lead for so long in that game. They had an 11-point lead going into the fourth quarter. They had so much energy. They had so much enthusiasm. They seemed to be mentally locked in, at least on the offensive end, something that they were not able to be in Minnesota. But I watched that game, David, and I thought to myself as I was prepping my notes as I was cutting some Cheers sound bites.
Sometimes you wanna go.
Let's do it!
As I was doing that, I'm thinking, I looked at the TV screen at one point, beginning of the fourth quarter, and I thought to myself, the Hornets feel like they should be up by 1,000 right now. And they're only up by 10. And I wonder what that means. And then I, like a lot of our listeners, watched in horror as that lead disappeared before my very eyes. And that's why it was demoralizing. And so we're going, as Daniel here on the live chat has said, no more malaise. It's time to jump on the positivity train. Choo-choo! And get hyped for Friday. Because the Hornets have an opportunity here to, I think if you get a win over Boston, it's going to be tough. But Boston, no Al Horford. We're going to get into this more on Friday. But they have an opportunity here to beat the top team in the East that's on a 10-game winning streak. Again, I'm giving you reasons why it's going to be difficult. But if they do it, then I think you erase a lot of the sins of this road trip. Would you agree with that, David?
Had to think about that one. Yes. Now, are you saying Horford is not going to play because he's in the protocol? Rick Bonnell seemed to indicate that he still might play tomorrow night. I guess we don't know.
Well, we don't know.
Okay,
you're right. We don't know. We don't know if Michael Kidd-Gilchrist will play, but we do know that he's rejoined the team. But I'll tell you, Horford had a concussion around this time last season and missed 9 games. So no indication yet whether or not Horford will play, but if he doesn't, then the Hornets may have an opportunity. Because while Horford has not been someone that has lit up the scoreboard in terms of points against the Hornets, only averaged 10 points per game against the Hornets last season, he's a big part of their offense, right? He's the glue guy. He's averaging almost 5 assists a game. So if the Celtics do not have him to deploy. Okay, well, we got to talk about this, David. Big news. Michael Kidd-Gilchrist has rejoined the team, first reported by our friend Rick Bonnell of the Charlotte Observer. He's missed all of this road trip, all 3 games. He left early after about 7 minutes into the game against Milwaukee before they left for this road trip. And the Hornets have not been very good defensively since he's left. Now, David, how much of that do you think is because MKG has not been there?
Oh, I think it's a big part. I mean, he's the best defensive player on the team. A lot of that stuff runs through him. It's funny because you post those stats, the win-loss record, 4-1 with him, 1-5 without. And it's amazing when you look back over his career, and it's not something that shows up on the stat sheet. That's obviously super cliche. But he does so much for that team in the little things that just does not show up, even when you're watching the game almost. I mean, it's a deflection here. It's a hustle play there that I really think bleeds down into the other players. But, I mean, the main thing is he can guard the other team's best guy. When you get down to it, like if they put him on Kyrie Irving tomorrow night, that's a lot different than putting even Bacon or Travion Graham, who will give you a little extra height. So I think, he's a big part of what this team does. And he's just better. I mean, the team is just better when he's on the floor. The numbers bear that out.
Hey, if you love the city of Charlotte, if you're away from the city and feeling homesick or just wish you were in Buzz City, listen up. Discovering CLT is featuring the best images of our Queen City on Instagram at Discovering CLT. They highlight the Spectrum Center. They highlight Queen Park Social, new restaurants like Zeppelin. It's the best way to discover and learn about all things Charlotte. I follow Discovering CLT to share my best photos of Hornets games. I find out about other local events going on around the city, new restaurants that are opening. I want to stay in the know, and I do that with our friends at Discovering CLT on Instagram. It's all there to discover with Discovering CLT. Here's what I need you to do. It doesn't matter if you live in Charlotte or not. Follow at Discovering CLT on Instagram. Tag at Discovering CLT in your awesome Charlotte Hornets Instagram photos and throw in the hashtag BuzzAmaniacs. Show them what the Nest can do, and you could have your photo featured on their Instagram page. Again, that's at Discovering CLT on Instagram. Get in the know about Charlotte, because I know a lot of our listeners, I don't know how, I mean, not a demographics expert, but I know that we got some people from England, we got some people from Scotland,
Australia.
Well, yeah, we got a huge representation in Australia. And I think, following a few things from Charlotte gives you a little bit of knowledge, gives you a little bit of context around the team that you love. So check them out at Discovering CLT. All right, back to MKG. So I was looking at some Cleaning the Glass numbers. If you haven't heard of this site, cleaningtheglass.com, started by Ben Falk, who is a young analytics-based former front office guy for the Portland Trail Blazers, really smart basketball guy, certified SPG. Started this website called cleaningtheglass.com. It's a $5 subscription website, but the stats on there, the way that he displays the stats is very unique and very interesting, and it's very easy to go in there and get on-off numbers. Also, the cool thing about these stats, and this is not an advertisement at all. I'm just telling you, I like this website, and they're very cool. And the interesting thing about this stats website is it gets rid of garbage time minutes. It gets rid of heaves, those kind of things, to give you kind of a truer sense of some of these numbers. And I was looking at the on-off numbers on this website for MKG, and when he's on the floor, they are 8 points better at defending the rim and the three-point line. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that he's playing with the starting unit, and the starting unit is much better defensively than the second unit because you have Dwight Howard. When Dwight Howard's on the floor, David, they play about... Oh, I'm hearing a little bit of echo in my headphones. Whew.
That's my bad, Doug.
It's all right. It sounded my voice sounded good. I like the sound of it. All right, so back to Dwight Howard. He's about like 10, 12 points better. Oh boy, that's that is a lot of echo.
Really?
Yeah, I'm gonna hold on one second. All right, David's gonna come back in, and if you're watching along on YouTube, this is live. This is live broadcasting right here. Okay, so back to my point on Howard. I'll pull this thing back together. So Howard, the team is about 12 points better at the rim with Howard on the floor, at about 8 to 10 points better at the three-point line. So, this team is better with MKG and Howard on the floor together at the same time. They defend much better, and I think you want MKG on the floor at the beginning of the game to set the tone defensively, to not go into a game. Jack saying, Locked On Hornets now with Twice the Doug. Yeah. Oh, there we go. And we get to see David. This is even better.
It's exciting. I know. Sorry, Doug. I just wanted to, get in while I could.
You just wanted to frighten the audience with the sound of my voice twice. I get it. Okay, so back to my point, David. This team is better with MKG and Dwight Howard on the floor at the same time. I think they are one of the best defensive teams when that's happening. They are a terrifying defensive team when that happens. And if they can deploy MKG, I think at the beginning of fourth quarters when they have a lead, then you won't see what happened in New York happen again. That's all I'm saying.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's why they need him back.
All right, let's move on to some things. Our next segment here, things that we like and things that we don't like right now with the Charlotte Hornets, with the NBA, maybe with the world in general. I'll get us started here. I like Marvin Williams right now finding his shooting stroke, averaging 12 points and 4 rebounds on 50% shooting and 47% from 3 in 4 games in November. Playing very well right now in a time when they need his offense to absolutely be excellent because their defense is lacking, and it's not for lack of effort on Marvin Williams' part, but they've absolutely needed his offense to come through.
It's nice to see Marvin bounce back a little bit. He got off to a slow start the last 2 years, really. But over the last couple of games, Doug, I mean, think how big he was just starting that game out against the Knicks and the Wolves. And they need him out there. We talk about it all the time. I think Marvin is probably the first guy that people want to, move to the bench as soon as someone else starts playing well. When Frank was playing well, it's always a question, is Marvin going to move to the bench? but he does so much for that team. And now he's starting to show a little bit of it on the offensive end. And so he just shows his value, man. They need contributions like that. And look, he's guarding Kristaps Porzingis, in a game, and still giving him some stuff on offense. So really good to see him do that. It's a long season for Marvin. He's got a lot of wear on those tires. You know what I mean?
Jack and Daniel on the chat saying David is hashtag hair goals. Daniel chiming in. I think he uses the Farrah Fawcett spray.
just a little bit.
That's all you need when it comes to the Farrah Fawcett spray. David, what do you like? What do you don't like?
I'll tell you what I don't like, Doug. I don't like players playing against the Hornets and then not playing. Kristaps. Not play the next night.
Dip it out.
I know it was just a scheduling thing, but I just saw that. I was like, that sounds about right. Didn't play against Orlando last night, and guess what?
Orlando won.
Yeah, right.
Well, they've been catching teams on the second night of a back-to-back, and they've been catching teams on home and home back-to-backs, on this road trip. And so it really hasn't, benefited the Hornets in terms of catching a team that might be a little bit tired or uncomfortable. And everyone's been playing their guys because it's early in the season. So the Hornets a little bit unlucky in that respect. But then, as you said, Kristaps playing on the front end and not playing on the back end. That's the thing. There's a lot of praise, and deservedly so, for Kristaps Porzingis around NBA Twitter, around the NBA blogosphere, around people that are in the NBA know. And he's certainly breaking out in a way that we didn't see last season, but also there's something that hasn't happened this season, and maybe it doesn't happen, but it happened last season, and that's Kristaps Porzingis having serious injury issues with his feet. So I'm just saying, I love watching Kristaps do what he's doing. And I think if he can stay healthy, then he's obviously one of the most terrifying forces in the Eastern Conference. But let's hold on just a second and make sure that this guy is going to be around. Guys that are that lanky, that tall, and that have had past feet issues are always scary to me. I'm just saying.
Big guy.
Maybe that's what I don't like. I don't like everybody just jumping on the Kristaps bandwagon all of a sudden, like he's gonna, do this for 12, 15 years. Here's what I also don't like right now. Dwight Howard post-ups. Now, I will readily admit, David, that this may sound hypocritical on my part. After all, I was the guy on this very show a week ago, David, I don't know if you remember this, making a fantastic Willy Wonka analogy when it came to people complaining about Dwight Howard post-ups and people complaining about Dwight Howard turnovers and people complaining about Dwight Howard free throw attempts going begging. Because the basic premise of that analogy being, don't worry about the post-ups, don't worry about the turnovers, don't worry about the free throws, because he's giving you such a boost on the boards and defensively, and his offensive production was still good. So don't worry about those things. But we've gotten a little bit of a bigger sample size now, and the numbers are not very encouraging. Last season with Atlanta, Dwight's post-ups made up 28% of his offense, and his points per possession were average for his position. And he turned the ball over 16% of the time in post-up situations. Not great, but not awful. This season, it makes up 35% of his offense over 11 games, up from 28%. He's in the 11th percentile, meaning 80. I'm bad at math. 89%. That's right. Beep, boop, 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 boop. 89% of players at his position are better at the post-up that qualify and are better than him in points per possession. And he's turning the ball over an astounding 34.4% of the time, nearly double year over year.
That's the area I think he's got to clean up. I mean, you mentioned it the other day. People are just crashing down on him when he gets the ball in the post there. And this team does not turn the ball over. I'm not sure what the issue is. I mean, because as you said, it's a big increase. So what do you think is causing that? Just unfamiliarity, just not being used to playing in this system? Like, is that something that could improve?
Well, the turnovers aren't happening necessarily. A majority of them are not happening between the ball getting to him. It's once he makes the catch.
Right.
And I don't think, I mean, I don't have solid numbers on this, but just my eyeball test, I don't think that a lot of these turnovers are happening like right after he makes the catch, because that would be like, oh, maybe he's getting the catch in the wrong place or somewhere where he's not used to, and that's causing, sort of domino effects to the way, all these guys, they're very robotic. They're very habitual in terms of where they catch the ball and then what they do next, right? And so maybe that is it, but I just don't feel like a lot of these turnovers have been, instantly after he catches the ball. It's been a lot of, dribble, guard comes down, digs down, and then pokes the ball away, or dribble, spin towards the lane, and the ball just, knocks off of somebody's hand or knocks off somebody's leg, and the other team comes up with it. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. But 34% of the time that he posts up, and it's the biggest part of his offense, he's turning it over. It's something that I think will need to continue to be monitored. But this coincides at the same time where his rebound numbers have fallen back to earth, kind of fallen back to reality still over this road trip, pretty consistently grabbing 10 boards a game, but not grabbing 15, not grabbing 20. And he averaged, in October, 1.7 blocks per game. That's come down. He's not getting 2-3 blocks a game. So, again, back to my Willy Wonka analogy, it might be time to sort of address the bathroom cleanliness. That's all I'm saying.
I think it's always a proper time to do that. Hey, Doug, Dwight Howard, though, as a whole, to begin this season, you're up. You're still thumbs up. I mean,
definitely.
Willy Wonka, to your point, Willy Wonka. I mean, it's been
the chocolate. The candy store is still open. There's still a lot of great things. I go back to those cleaning the glass numbers. Teams are taking 10% less shots at the rim when he's on the floor. They're afraid to attack. And maybe some of those block numbers being down are just adjustments by teams going, look, if you try to attack this guy, this is a different Dwight Howard defensively than we were used to seeing in Atlanta, in Houston, in L.A. This is the Dwight Howard defensively that we were used to seeing in Orlando. So stop attacking him, or at least try to pull him to the weak side and then attack on the strong side. But even then, he's got the ability to recover. So
and I wonder, I wonder, the absence of Michael Kidd-Gilchrist certainly can be a pressure on ball defender, drive some guys, funnel some guys to Dwight.
Can cross up Enes Kanter?
Oh man. Does anybody talk about Dwight's ball handling move? Have I missed those over his last?
Well, see, that's the confusing thing, though, right, David? Because he handles the ball well above the 3-point line or on the break, but when he catches in the post, there have been some issues.
It's odd. Hey, I got one for you, Doug.
What do you like? What do you not like?
Well, I'm going negative. I'm just feeling super negative today. Our guy, Frank Kaminsky, honestly, if guys out there, I feel your pain. I feel like I do talk about him about every show, but he's just so fascinating to me. But over the last 3 games, Doug, 6 points, 8 points, 5 points, and his shooting has really just fallen off a cliff. Shooting no better than 33%. Didn't get into the 30s the 2 games prior to that. So, after a hot start, I still think he looks aggressive. I still think he's doing a lot of the same things. I don't know what the answer is, though, to be honest with you. I mean, I think aggressiveness is one thing. I just think so much of it comes down to confidence with Frank, and he still looks confident. It's just not seeing the ball go through as much as he was.
Well, here's the concerning thing, David. It's that he's not taking as many 3-point shots. Last season, 40% of his shots were from beyond the arc. This season, that number is down to 33%. His mid-range shots are up from 31% to 42%. And that makes sense to your eyeballs, right? Because you've seen him take a lot of floaters. You've seen him pump fake at the 3-point line and drive. He's hit a lot of baseline fadeaway jumpers. He's got that turnaround Dirk Alert 1-footer from the free throw line.
Sure.
So he's displaying a few new moves inside, but here's why it's concerning that he's not taking 3-point shots. Okay, they're working Michael Carter-Williams back into the lineup, someone that is traditionally not a very good 3-point shooter. So now you're going to have Michael Carter-Williams alongside Malik Monk, alongside Cody Zeller, Frank Kaminsky, and then, ex-player at the 3. Maybe Dwayne Bacon on some nights, maybe Trevion, maybe you just split time between Lamb and Batum there to pair alongside them. But if Frank Kaminsky's not consistently hitting his 3, it's going to be very tough, I think, to get Malik Monk the space that he needs to knock down outside shots, to run him off ball. Because if you're not afraid of Cody at the 3-point line, you're not afraid of Michael Carter-Williams, you're not afraid of Frank Kaminsky, it makes it tougher to move the ball. It makes it tougher to get spacing on that second unit. I worry offensively for this team if Frank Kaminsky's not hitting 3-point shots. It's important.
So maybe there's a little silver lining in this thing, or a little reason to be encouraged.
I thought you were feeling negative. I thought you were feeling negative.
Well, I'm trying to pull myself out of it. So over the first 5 games, he hit 8 threes in those first 5 games. Then got the illness, whatever that was. Now that was
hashtag the illness.
The hashtag the illness. After that illness, Doug, he's only hit 3 3-point field goals in the last 5 games. So that's a big swing. And let's see here. 4 of those have been on the road.
He's got roaditis.
Yeah.
He's not. No. In all seriousness, he has not played as well on the road as he has played at home. Early in the season, a lot of that can change. But they need him on the road. They need his 3-point. I think they really need his 3-point shooting on the road.
Yeah.
Because you're not, listen, he is, these people that get upset about Frank Kaminsky's defense, I don't understand. Look, he's communicating better. He's making less mistakes, but he is what he is defensively and physically.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to struggle to get boards against Kylo Quinn. He's going to be outmatched when teams go small, and he's going to get beat to the spot by smaller 4s. Like, this just is a reality that we have to come to terms with. And that's why 3-point shooting important for Frank Kaminsky, because you have to balance that.
Yeah, and that's why it makes it so difficult, because if he's not doing that on offense and he can't give you anything else on the defensive end, it's tough for him to have an impact on the game.
I got to go positive here. I got to bring this show.
Thank you.
I got to bring this show back up. And the way that I'm going to do that is brag on myself.
Yeah. Well,
I like that all of my draft crushes from this past draft, all the guys that I decided to give a rose to in this last draft, doing some nice things, and they're getting attention for it. Got Donovan Mitchell in Utah. He's been getting all of the touches right now, building a highlight reel, because highlight reels don't show any misses, David. His efficiency numbers are what could best be described as toilet water. But he hasn't let missed shots stop. A lot of bathroom. Who's writing this show? There's a lot of bathroom references. But he hasn't let missed shots stop him from scoring 20 points every couple of nights. His defense has been stellar for a rookie. He's showing a lot of what he showed at Louisville, a lot of what made him attractive to Hornets fans before Malik Monk fell. I think he'll be a really special player when he gets a shot and a shot selection in order, and when they get some more offensive talent around him where he doesn't have to, be such a high-usage player within that Utah scheme. Another guy, Semi Ojeleye, loved this guy in the last draft. Size, shooting, just looked like a guy that, especially defensively, could just bully people. The Hornets are going to see a lot of this guy tomorrow if Horford doesn't play, because they've been playing last night against the Lakers. You saw Semi, you saw Marcus. Jason Tatum went out of the game. Don't know his status for Friday yet. So, you might see a lot of Semi Ojeleye in this game, but he's carved himself a nice little role with a very good Boston team as a physical 3-and-D guy who also has a nice little pump fake baseline drive. Saw that, but a little up and under. He's a nice player. John Collins?
Who else, Doug?
John Collins?
Now, everyone knows John Collins. We loved John Collins. Everyone knows that we infamously traded back in our draft to select him at the back end. Infamously. I think it worked. It worked out for everyone.
Well, he's in a great situation in Atlanta. They're a bad team, but they're energetic. Got a really good point guard in Dennis Schroeder. Team that plays fast, plays loose, favors the athletic, favors the bold, favors the brave. All of those words can be used to describe one young John Collins. Whew. That was good. That was a lot of me time, and I liked it. David, don't like anything? What's going on?
No, that's it for me, Doug. I'm going to stay away from the more negative comments. I will say I do we'll get into this more tomorrow. I really enjoy watching Jaylen Brown play basketball. He is showing that he gets it in this second year for him. He gives the Celtics another one of those guys that can just run and jump really fast, is also good with the basketball, and can make a difference on both ends. I think that's something the Hornets are trying to add. All teams are. From game one, he's just been really nice to watch.
I have a suggestion for the Boston announcing crew, for Tommy and the team in the shower. I've got a suggestion here for when Jaylen Brown hits a three-pointer. Are you ready for this one? I got to back up from the mic a little bit because this one's going to be a little loud. Actually, I'm going to pick the mic up. That's how excited I am for this one. All right, so you lead me into this one, David. Say Jaylen Brown hits the three or goes up for three.
All right.
Lead me in.
Kyrie swings it over to Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown for three.
Jaylen Brown downtown in Beantown.
Wow. That's it, guys. That's a freebie. That's a freebie for everyone out there.
Okay, we've done enough.
We need a game.
Send us what you. This has been fun, David. Don't you dare. Don't you dare downplay.
That was not negative. I'm all positive from here on
Follow our
out.
friends at Discovering CLT on Instagram. They are a sponsor of this show, and when you follow them on Instagram, you are essentially supporting us. So please do that. Great folks there at Discovering CLT, trying to drop some knowledge on people about Charlotte. Daniel saying, I'm going to pretend that didn't just happen. Daniel, you wanted me to get hype. This is how I get hype. Jaylen Brown.
You asked for it, Daniel.
Beantown.
Oh, boy.
Thank God, Jack said, thank God you didn't say from Browntown. Blah. There were, bathroom references. So many of them. All right. Hey, enjoy your Thursday. This isn't even Fun Friday yet. We're not even there. This has been a great...
I can't even imagine, guys. Oh, a little preview.
Okay. That's all the time we have for this edition of Locked On Hornets. Thanks so much for joining us live on YouTube, youtube.com/Locked On Hornets. We're back again tomorrow with a preview of this game against the Boston Celtics. For David, I'm Doug. Go Hornets. Go America. Let's swarm Charlotte.